All right, I think we're live.
Awesome.
Yeah, we're live. It worked. Just got a notification. Cool.
Excellent.
So, how are you doing tonight,
Gonna,
Eric?
uh, I can't complain. Just
That's good.
another day,
I hear that.
another day.
I hear that.
You?
Um, yeah, it was okay. Nothing too remarkable. Work was, eh. There were lots of
Yeah,
issues
nah,
at work, but it went okay.
yeah. My being doing basic science research, it's always kind of it has its ups and downs with a focus on downs.
Yeah. So there was at the one of the buildings that I work at. There was a planned power outage for certain parts of the building, and
Okay.
it wasn't supposed to affect any of our electron microscopes or anything. Um, but somehow, through like that controlled power outage, um, the chilled water, I guess, stopped
Mm-hmm.
being chilled, and then that screwed up all of the chillers for the microscopes. And as soon as the chillers aren't working, and the temperature goes up, the software on the microscope sort of panics and it shuts everything
Mm.
off. So at like 8 in the morning,
Okay.
everything just shut down for like a few hours, ruined one of the runs, and
Well,
took
that's
several hours to get back.
hmm.
So it was pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, that's terrible.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
But yeah, so that was good.
Okay. Nothing exciting in that vein for me. Just the same stuff.
Yeah. What about hobby related stuff? Are you working on anything right now?
I should be doing more, but well, I finished assembling all the components for the dreaded Amble expansion.
Oh, that's
So
good. Looks good.
that's that's ready. And I guess I also just on a whim got this other little I don't
Oh,
know,
he's
Chaos
cool.
Sorcerer dude.
Here, I think I
Um,
can put up a picture for any viewers.
yeah,
Yeah.
kind of sort of to go along with the one that I converted from a Mordheim warband from the Iron Lung kind of guy.
They actually
Oh,
work
yeah,
pretty well
that's
together, the two.
yeah. But so I think this guy's name's Hess Poison Breath, which I think I um, first learned about him from uh, Nicholas. He has a good Instagram account, and he converted both of them slightly and painted them with a really nice um, sort of OSL effect.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Really, that really is really nice. Uh,
Yeah, so Nicholas Filstrom.
yeah, no, he's great. Great painter and converter.
He does a lot of really
Almost like old
good,
hammer type stuff.
yeah, and sort of modernizing some of them, and yeah, it does lots of really good stuff. He was kind of one of the main person who tipped us off to using brass tubing and stuff too.
Oh yeah, he's been a big inspiration to our work, and
I
he
mean, I guess we had used some brass tubing before, but him actually suggesting, um, what's the company?
Albion alloys.
Albion Alloys. The fact that they just make nice packages where you can buy various diameters that sort of interlace with one another. And I feel that really helped to like get various scales that are like actually useful for what we're trying to do, like in
Yeah, I
this
can
sort
see.
of hobby, which is really nice because otherwise it's sometimes it seems a little bit like, oh, I'm just ordering shit at random, like, and hoping it's the right size.
You know, the little
But
brass tubing is like incredible. It's hard to see
yeah,
it
but
on a lot of his works. Like any of the barrels, he drills them out and replaces them with a little thin brass tubing, and it does. It just looks really really good. I think it adds a lot to the models, and on top of that, if you do it well enough, you it just looks so much better. Like you don't have to worry if the barrel diameter and the bore is actually like circular and straight, because it will be, because that's how the
hmm
stuff comes.
yeah,
Um,
that is true.
but oh yeah, so you were talking about he like sort of inspired you. Yeah, so their Hess poison breath is, and beside him
The
Silith
Iron Lung,
Iron
God,
Lung.
yeah.
Yeah, they're awesome. They look so good.
Yeah, so I think in one of the previous streams, I got the Iron Lung dude and converted him a little bit. Honestly, pretty similar to Nicholas's here, but just because the base model I think has a very interesting look to him that kind of looks somewhat futuristic as well as fantasy, and it's kind of hard to know
Yeah,
like where he's coming from, and I think that's kind of neat.
yeah, that works really well. But yeah, so if you don't follow Nicholas here, you should. And if you're at all interested in
hmm
like converting like firearms and stuff for your models, or even just drilling out barrels and stuff, you should look into Albion Alloys, and buy some of their brass tubing. Some of them are super tiny, so you don't really have to worry. At least I remember when I first started looking into it, I was a little worried, like maybe they're not gonna make brass tubing with a small enough diameter. Well, you need not worry.
Yeah, yeah. I
Um,
think our website or like our blog along the top there's like a tools of the trade tab, and on there at the bottom it mentions Albion Alloys and talks a little bit about the stuff that we use. So that I guess is maybe worth
yeah, yeah, that's true.
worth knowing that
Yeah,
you
and
can
so
always
from
go there and find it.
from that from that picture, like which we're looking at here, you can kind of get a sense how thin some of the tubing gets. So it's like
Yeah,
point
it's
0.3
really
millimeters. So like that's really really thin, and it's far thinner than anything you'd see on a GW models. It's so thin it'll just look really weird. So you'd probably
yeah.
actually have to end up going to some of the larger diameters. But one thing that is pretty nice, since they design all the tubing to slide within one another, you can actually um, drill out drill a hole for one of the larger ones, and then if you think the bore of the barrel's too big, you can just slide in other thinner ones
hmm
inside that until you're happy. Um, so yeah, it's worth looking into. I really like them.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. What about you, Adam? What have you been working on?
Um, I've largely just been working on Mordheim models because,
Okay.
well, we still have a fair amount of time before the Mordheim 2019 event takes place in like the summer. I still have a lot that I need to do.
Yeah, I mean it's coming
Um,
up quickly. I really need to kind of get on that and maybe even start thinking about painting some stuff.
yeah, so I mean, I'm still working on like the sisters. So like I've been busy working on the leader of the warband. Like I working on resculpting the foot of this one
hmm
model here, um, along with like the armor and everything. And so that kind of is just like a slow and steady process.
Yeah.
Um, so that's going pretty well. And then I guess I've been spending a lot of time as of late, um, working on a model for your warband, Eric, actually.
Yeah.
And sort of like, I guess the idea for the model was to kind of create some, like, some aberration or a wretched creature that's been in Mordheim for a long time, and because of that, their, like, connection to the physical world is sort of changing and being altered to the point where maybe this individual is now kind of invisible or
Mm-hmm.
becoming close to being invisible. And so I spent a bunch of time converting and sculpting a model, which I was going to then cast or try and make a mold for and cast it in clear resin to kind of represent that notion that the model's invisible. Sort of
Mm-hmm.
similar to what years ago when the original Lord of the Rings films were released, Games Workshop had a model of Bilbo that was cast in like a
Oh, yeah,
clear
that's true.
plastic. So sort of
That's
along those
true.
lines, that's what I was trying to do.
That was probably a clear resin, was or I mean, I guess it could have been plastic. I don't
I
remember.
mean, yeah, whatever. Who knows? Well,
In the subject of making molds out of them, the matriarch you're working on, you could probably make a mold of that since it's like all
yeah,
not it's not glued together. I mean, I guess it would be the horrible process of making a mold, but
yeah. I mean, that's true. I don't think I want to fuck with it. It just takes too much time.
yeah, okay.
Um, and yeah, I don't want to screw with it. But yeah, so I've been in the process of making a mold, and I'll say like, this is the first time I've tried to make any molds or anything since moving back to the East Coast in the US.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my goodness, I've had a hell of a lot of trouble making this mold. Um, it may be due to just a bad batch of smooth on rubber, but regardless,
Mm-hmm.
I now have a mold that it's not great, but it works
What
actually
makes
pretty
it
well.
not good?
Actually, oh wait, no, I'm actually using it. Um, so the two halves of the mold when I mixed. So to make each half, you mix two component rubber that once mixed, they'll um, catalyze some reaction in it and they'll harden. Um,
Yeah.
and for whatever reason, in the mold, there are different pockets of the rubber that didn't didn't actually solidify. And whether that's due to maybe like I didn't mix the stuff well enough, man,
Mm-hmm.
who knows? But so, despite all the efforts, some aspects of the mold don't work. But I've tried testing out the mold, and it
It
actually
worked
works really
okay.
well. Like I don't think there are really any issues with the part of the mold for the model itself, but it's not a pretty looking mold. That's what I'll say.
Okay.
Um,
Oh, hey Eli, nice to
oh
see you
hey Eli.
here.
But yeah,
Yeah, I
so I
guess
can
we
actually,
had sent you a photo.
yeah, I'll show some like
Images.
the yeah.
And I guess
So
it doesn't matter. We're kind of wanting to save most of the reveal till the finished product, kind of. But no one watches this shit, so
yeah, nah, I'm not really
it's
worried.
fine.
But so yeah, here's a picture of the the conversion and the first cast from the mold. And really like I was actually pretty pleasantly surprised. Like I don't really think there were any like air bubbles or anything like that in the cast. Like it worked really well. The only thing
And
that
like all
didn't
the did the teeth come out all right and all
oh
that
yeah, like
stuff?
all the tiny little detailed teeth, they came out great. The only thing that didn't come out or was a little wrong, if you look at his one thigh, there's a little piece of rubber that got incorporated in his thigh. So I think that was from when I was cutting out the different vents and stuff in the mold. I guess one of the little pieces got away from me and it was still in the mold when I did the cast.
Yeah. Okay.
But regardless, it looks good. And so I've been experimenting around with this cast and just kind of I trimmed off some of the flashing and stuff. I have
Yeah.
a little bottle of acetone or nail polish remover that I've been experimenting and using that to see if I can use that to like buff out some of the mold lines and stuff that I trimmed off, and I think it might actually work if I play around with it enough.
Hmm.
Um,
Have you tried, like, are you gonna, like, sand it? Did you do anything like that?
I've not done anything like that yet, and like maybe that's what I'll experiment with next.
Yeah, because I
But
mean, like,
then,
I know interestingly, because like I have some of those Tamiya sanding sponges, like I
mhm.
think up to 1,500 grit, and even that's kind of rough.
Yeah, I have one of them too, 1,500. Like it's
But
pretty
I mean, like,
coarse.
if you use it just a little bit, that, like, I mean, it's kind of coarse, but admittedly, if you use it on plastic, like, it kind of, with not too much effort, it kind of it's fine enough that it doesn't really leave obvious scratches, but it's not.
Yeah,
But if you use it for a little, it kind of wears it down a little bit. So like I could see it still working okay in something like this, but I feel like for all models like this, like I know Malifaux will often, like, Weird will release some of their Malifaux warbands in plastic and such, but they're still the same
yeah.
sprues with like each model having 13 little tiny pieces and such
Hmm.
that you have to cut off all the flashing and all the mold lines and such. Like I
Yeah.
feel
So that was one of the
I
things I
don't know
was
if that would
worried with
work
this
well.
model. Like I tried my best to make it pretty simple and all with one
Mm-hmm.
piece. But even despite that, if you actually look at the model itself, it like has a fair amount of dimension and stuff to it. And
Mm-hmm.
like the official model, like the head you glue on separately, and that's just to maintain some of the definition and stuff. Mind you, they're
Yeah.
plastic molds, so they have to be a little different from ones for like rubber or something. But I was a little worried that
Mm-hmm.
maybe some of the detailing or like the fingers, for instance, wouldn't fill in, but it essentially worked perfectly. And then
That's good. That's good.
tonight I did a little more trimming and I experimented with like painting blood on the model, and let's see, I'll show a picture of that. And I actually think it turned out pretty well. I mean, this won't be like the final model. Like I'm gonna cast another version of it, but overall I think it looks pretty good. So um, soon
Yeah, it
I'll
looks
probably
looks good.
get the final cast, trim it up, try and get rid of the mold lines as best I can, repaint the blood on the new cast, and then paint the model's base. I guess that's one other thing. I should experiment with gluing the model to a base and see, like, I don't
Yeah.
know if I use, say, super glue to glue the model on. I don't know how, like, there's a chance that'll frost the plastic and it'll look really bad. So I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be worth looking
Hopefully it
at.
won't be too bad. Because I feel
The blood looks good.
if I drill a pin or something in the foot, like you'll be able to see that. I mean, I might be able to get away with that if I like actually paint the feet a little. Like I could
So I
paint
almost
like
feel like it
dust and
might, like you
other
could
shit on it, and then
make
like
it
you might not be
slightly
able to see
dusty or
that.
something.
So I don't know. Those are all
Yeah,
things that maybe I'll experiment with.
yeah, Eli mentioned something about the blood, that or that it looks good and the blood effect is convincing. And he'd be interested to see how the
Uh,
Vallejo products compare to the Blood for the Blood God, which is like
yeah.
GW's kind of,
So
I think,
yeah,
comparable product. I have some of the Vallejo stuff, but I don't know if I think maybe I used it once a little bit, but not much. Does it always have that like glossy finish,
So
or is that a
that
part of due to it being on this resin?
I mean, so some of that's probably true. There are probably factors influencing all of that, but I guess stepping back, yeah, this blood that I painted was done with Vallejo makes these like two game effect blood paints, and
Hmm.
they have a like a dried blood paint which is a little darker, and then a fresh blood one. And I've experimented around with them a little, and like the fresh blood one is more of a sheen to it, and it's like
Okay.
lighter in color. And so that I
Hmm.
sort of took some of that and paint. Like I first initially painted the stuff with the dried blood, and then put some of the fresh blood over top of that and like random patternings and stuff. And I think that gives it a little more of a sheen.
Okay.
I've never actually tried Games Workshop's Blood for the Blood God. I don't.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
almost
think I
feel
ever bought
like
any.
around the time when, I mean, I don't know who's first, but I almost got the impression that like when around the time when GW started to release those, they released like that oxide paint, Nihilus oxide, and the
Yeah,
blood for the blood god, and a bunch of the like the crackle paints, and they had a whole range of like maybe eight or some of these, and kind of I think around the same time, possibly in response to it, or maybe it was vice versa. Well, Vallejo
yeah.
released like an effects paint set that has like also like eight paints, and they have their own Nihilus oxide like things, some rust colors, I
Yeah,
think,
here it is.
the blood ones. So like that would it would
It
certainly be
has
something.
blood, scabs, vomit, rust, and verdigris. They actually
Yeah,
work pretty well. I like them.
so it's something to consider if you're looking into some of these. And like I don't remember the cost of that, but it's
Maybe like
probably like
$22.
25 $30 or something. So it's cheaper probably than getting the
They have
GW
one of my
equivalents, all of
favorite things
them.
in the set there, which I think is supposed to be their rust. It's like actually a wash of sorts. Like it's a very thin, almost like a GW shade, and it works really well. Like if you have painted a metallic or something, you can just put a little coat that over top of whatever it is, and it can kind of get a really cool effect on a lot of different things. Yeah, I've used Typhus Corrosion like once, but not a whole lot. GW's old inks, they were really something else. Like they were, if you,
Old chestnut ink.
yeah, like if you added any of those inks or something to your model, it created an incredible sheen on the model. So like a really
You had to,
glossy and
yeah, I feel it was an effect you had to really want because it wasn't going to be subtle. Which, admittedly,
yeah.
yeah, Eli, the crew that you used them on and the demon like thing looked really good, and I feel it. You used that to a good effect that kind of sort of
Yeah.
simulated blood and dried
I know
blood
some of
and
my older
whatnot.
models, like I painted some Imperial Guard with like brown tunics and stuff, and I remember adding like maybe it was chestnut ink or something to it, and like oh, it just fucking ruined it. Like it made them all look terrible.
Yeah, it's like you didn't know at the time, and I don't think there were really matte medium and shit like that. Hey,
Yeah,
Meandering Shade, good to see
I
you're
don't think
here
there
too.
were. So yeah, all the inks like, and I think it was because of that that I was really, really against or really leery of like ever using any of GW's shades or anything like that because of all their older
But I think when
inks,
they, yeah, yeah.
and I guess I think they called them washes back in the day as well. Anything you added them to, they took up like an incredible sheen, and like I
I
fucking hated
feel
it.
when they started to call them shades, I think they had reformulated them, maybe put more of a matte media or something in it, that I think they're better than they were, but I still
Oh, they're a
feel
lot better. But yeah, they still add like a little bit of a sheen to your models if you add too much, and like I hate it. I can't stand it. They work great
yeah,
for metallics.
it's still a certain, like, you have to, I think, still be a little careful with them. Like, if you try to, if you're not careful and you try to apply them like GW's all in their like painting videos and stuff, is all about, I feel, um, doing just like paint over everything, almost like a filter.
Yeah.
And doing that, I feel, with even their washes at times, I feel you can kind of get like a coffee stained look to things,
Yeah, that's
in
true.
which you can see blood, or not,
Well,
like,
so the big
yeah,
thing with like all of that stuff, you really don't want to let anything pool because if it pools, then it's not going to dry evenly throughout, and
that's true.
that's what creates a lot of that coffee staining type effect.
Well, I find, and if you're doing it on larger surfaces and stuff, flatter surfaces, it's so easy to get it stained and see
Yes.
brush strokes and stuff, which I think kind of is why a lot of people on scale models and stuff, if they're trying to do something like that, they will like spray it with like a satin varnish or even a gloss varnish, such that when you put it on there, since the surface is much smoother because of the
Yeah.
varnish and like not a matte thing, it like is much easier for them to like go into the recesses and stuff and not like sit on the, because otherwise if it's
Yeah.
matte, a matte surface is like all these micro grooves and stuff, and that's what makes it not flow as well, which in the
Yeah.
same, so oftentimes I think people will do a coat like that before they do their pin washes and things like that, just to make sure they go just in the recesses and stuff before they then do a matte varnish or something after they got the effect they want, because they don't ultimately want it shiny. But
Yeah.
I think, um yeah, and but that's also, I think, like oftentimes if you do oil washes and such, um they, since they're not like water based and they, you kind of put it with like a thinner or whatever, um they go into the recesses and stuff a lot easier, I feel, than the GW acrylic shades.
Yeah.
I
So
feel they're maybe a
yeah.
little easier to work with.
Yeah. So meandering shade, you're right. Like a lot of the GW shades do work better if you like cut them with another medium. Like the Games Workshop makes their own. What's it called? It's something with an L, like Liath.
Lamia medium or whatever.
I
And
think
like
that's what
even
it is. Yeah.
like in some of GW's painting, like Duncan's painting videos and stuff, he'll talk about, it's like, oh, and then you take like your shade and cut it like 6 parts lamina medium, like
Yeah, and like
2 parts shade or whatever. So, and like I've actually started to, whenever I use a shade, I'll put a bunch of that lamina medium or one of those mediums with it. And I think it helps a lot, because regardless of what you put in, if you just try to thin it out with too much water, I think the pigments almost like precipitate out and it like
hmm
dries very unevenly. But if you put some sort of medium that just doesn't have the pigment in it, it helps.
yeah.
And lamina medium is nice, and I find it's pretty good. But I feel it's one of those things like it's kind of expensive for something that it's just like, I dilute all my paints 50-50 with lamina medium. Like for the little bottles you get it in and such, it's kind of expensive. So should I feel Vallejo's versions and such are cheaper and probably about the same.
Yeah.
But
Also, I
yeah,
guess
actually, that's the thing, yeah, meandering shade, about the surface tension. Like I feel a lot of like the oil washes and such, or if you even just take an oil paint and really dilute it with some like white spirits or like a thinner, like
hmm
the surface tension is super low and it just like nicely goes into all the recesses.
yeah. So, Meandering Shade, what do you think of this little, I think you missed what we were talking about earlier, but the picture up on screen right now is a work in progress or a mock version of an invisible, like, horror for Mordheim. And I tried painting, like, blood and stuff on the thing's claws. So, this model is actually, I converted the model and then made a mold for it and cast it in like a clear resin. So that was the idea behind it. I still have to get a better cast, but this is kind of just a test or a proof of concept, and I think it turned out pretty well. So eventually, once I actually finish the model and paint its base and everything, it'll appear on Instagram. But if you were wondering what that is, that's what it is. Oh, hey, Johnny. Yeah, lots of people are coming now. That's good. To hear us ramble on about the hobby. But I guess I mean I can explain it one more time. I guess let's actually bring up another picture of it. Okay, yeah. So this, I'll explain it one more time. And if other people come on, I won't say it again. But so,
oh, sure you will.
Yeah, I will. Yeah. So here's a picture of the converted model that I made for Eric's Mordheim Warband. This is kind of like a drag or some other crazy thing. And then, so I made a mold for that and then tried casting it in like a clear resin to sort of represent that this creature is sort of drifting or phasing out of reality and is largely invisible. And then the only thing that like its victims can easily see is like the blood from like other victims. So that's that's the idea.
And it's an excuse to not have to paint much, right?
Yeah, heck yeah, that's great. Like this will be the fastest model I think I've ever painted.
Yeah, but it's I guess it's also sort of a fun way to experiment with other aspects of using clear resin, like the fact that we have some experience in making molds and such. It's like, well, let's kind of experiment with what we can do with it, not always just like white resin and that sort of thing.
Yeah, so I think you could use the whole idea on lots of stuff. Yeah, like on a Predator miniature, that could be cool. I know Games Workshop did it years ago with, maybe it was the first Lord of the Rings film. They would, maybe if you bought the game, you could send something in and they'd send you a model of Bilbo that was cast in like a clear plastic.
But yeah, actually, because as Meandering Shade mentions here, I'm pretty sure whatever company makes the Aliens versus Predator miniature game, I'm pretty sure they actually did make some of them, like Predators and such that are invisible like that. I kind of feel like we got one of those Bilbo models.
We did. I think we still have it somewhere.
Wow. I almost feel, did it start to kind of yellow?
Maybe. I don't remember.
I don't know. I guess maybe I'm making that up. I have no idea. I have no idea.
But yeah, so hopefully, I think by the end of the month, like, there'll be more pictures of this model finished. I think this will be the conversion corner post of the month. The first of the painted conversion corner miniatures. But yeah, I don't know. Now that I think the whole effect works pretty well, so like maybe in the future I'll try and do it for some other things. Like I imagine I could also add like some other coloring and stuff too.
Yeah, you should add. You don't use the shades, GW shades on anything else, but you could add them to this.
Yeah, like I imagine I could like add like a drop of one of their red shades or something, and like only vaguely mix it in and see what that
Yeah,
does.
I'm sure you could do stuff like that or any of them blues, whatever colors.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll see. But yeah, so that's what I've been working on as of late. Um, all more time. Okay, so what do you say, Eli? If it is resin, it kind of makes sense it would yellow. That and many finishes yellow over time, so it would be yeah. So well, maybe we'll have to try and dig it out. So the resin, let me go get the bottles and stuff. But it's a two-part resin from Smooth On. Let me find it.
Yeah, because at least as far as I know, from what I've heard, I mean, not that Forge World's announced this specifically, but I gather that Forge World, even their resin is just a smooth on resin that they dye.
Okay.
But yeah, and at least I feel I've heard this, but the GW's resin they use might also just be a smooth on resin.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure one of the main resins they use is whether or not they actually buy it from Smooth On or it's just largely the same stuff. It's very similar to some of the stuff you can get from Smooth On. But in the case for this, I am using Smoothcast 325 Color Match Liquid Plastic. So I think this is
Is
mainly their line of plastic or whatnot where you can add different dyes and stuff to it, and they make a bunch of dyes. Most of the dyes they have, or at least the only one I've tried, is heavily pigmented, and it just a tiny amount of it completely changes the color to like either blue or green or whatever color it is you got.
mm-hmm. So
Um,
this the stuff for this clear one, that's not what the normal stuff you often use.
Yeah, so the normal stuff or that I've used in the past is it's similar. It's still a smooth cast. I don't remember the number to it, but it's like a white color.
Yeah.
And then if you can add the dyes and stuff to the white color as well, but then it kind of turns like almost like a baby blue.
Yeah.
Rather so, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I feel
So
those Imperial Guard you sent me that I assembled and sent off to the to die in the Thorn Moons, they a lot of them were blue
yeah,
from that.
yeah.
Yeah, but I'm surprised how well the clear resin stuff looks from there. Like I feel it looks fairly convincing and the blood like
Yeah, I thought it
looks
looked pretty
good.
good. Um, so yeah, and we'll see what it looks like on a base, a painted base. Um, but yeah, so hopefully sometime next week it'll be done. Okay, so we've spent a lot of time talking about like what we're working on. Do we want to move on to other, I guess, important topics and stuff?
Yeah, we can transition into other stuff.
Um, I guess in terms of like the Games Workshop hobby and stuff, if you haven't taken their like community survey, like you could take it.
Did
I'll
you take it, Adam?
no. Well, so I started I started taking it, but I didn't have time to finish it. So yeah, did you take it,
It was
Eric?
lost. I did take it. It was kind of long. It was kind of long, and it didn't really offer many opportunities to make much in terms of actual criticism. Most of them were like, which of these things were your favorites? Rank them, or like, how often do you do this? That sort of thing. Um, which isn't inherently bad. They did have some opportunities to like survey, like boxes, like write in your opinion about something, or is there something you could change or whatever. So certainly there were opportunities to voice grievances or make suggestions and such, but the vast majority of it didn't really leave huge regions to um,
Hmm.
really make large comments. But yeah, Eli, you mentioned here that damn, it's long. Yeah, it takes. It's not just like a 5 minute thing. But I feel
Actually,
it took less time than the other one last
actually,
year's. But
to get back to what you were saying, meandering shade. I think in maybe the next few casts that I experiment with, maybe I'll try and add like some shades and stuff to the resin, and we'll see what effects I can get with that. But you're right, like if you added like a dark gray or something, yeah, you could potentially get like kind of a cool like shadow form type
yeah, all
effect.
that would be neat. And I guess it would be interesting. I mean, I assume it'd be hard, but if you could potentially do stuff that it was just like parts of it had the color, others didn't, stuff like that.
I'm not at that
I don't
level
know.
yet, but
Yeah,
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 maybe.
it's hard, but I
I mean,
feel
you might be able to do it based on depending on how you cut like the different vents and the injection port for the resin. Like you might
hmm
be able to modify some of that stuff. But yeah.
yeah.
Now, getting back to the survey, I started taking it, and eventually got to a point where there were a bunch of text boxes where like you could write as much as you wanted, and that sort of screamed to me like this is probably your only chance to really write a lot of stuff. But
hmm
I don't know. I didn't get further than that. Okay, what?
Yeah, Mandinks has said that like it almost seemed like they had different writers to work on some of the stuff because it seemed a little inconsistent. I do kind of agree with that. Like the Age of Sigmar thing had all these things like do you use the terrain features? Do you use endless spells? Do you use the cards for endless spells? Like all this stuff. And then I felt you got
Like
to
no, 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 no.
then you got to 40K and like they had much less questions of that nature. So they're very different. Like they were asking different things. And like I don't
Well, so I guess
yeah, so it was interesting.
Well, so related to all of that, since I haven't taken it yet, are there certain things like I know I sort of wanted to like talk with people about like are there things that we think I should like actually say in the survey? Because presumably there's something like what's something you don't like what we're doing, or what's something you like about what they probably
I
have
think
some
there's
boilerplate.
I think there's something kind of like that.
Okay.
But or we can kind of talk about that. But one thing there was also another section kind of about like GW events and things. And
Yeah.
like I thought it was somewhat funny. It's just like, why don't you participate in GW events? It's just like because you don't host GW events. Like they don't exist in the United States. Like if they did, I would probably go to them. So it's just like all this stuff. It's just like what would then like it's like why don't you go to events? Like well, because they're not in the United States. It's just like what could we do that would make you go to more events if
Hold
they
the
were in the
vents.
United States? I mean, in their defense, they do, and like some of them, they do mention like um,
Well,
that GW supports some independent events, kind of like
yeah.
Adepticon and such. So, I mean, admittedly, it's better than it had been used before,
Well, I mean,
such
if
that
you
at least they are supporting some of these major events. So, like, they would still be worth it. But I still kind of chuckled to myself about just like, why aren't you going to our events? It's just like, well, as
yeah.
much as I would like to go to some of your open days or whatever, like, I
Well, I
can't
mean, what other events do they even
fly to
have?
Nottingham multiple times a year to go to these events.
Well, so I guess at least in the United States, when I was in San Diego, I would every so often go to one of their brick and mortar stores there, and like, holy shit, are they small? Like, they're so small. like there's room for like one big gaming table that can be sectioned into like a few different things. So at max, maybe 3 games going on at once. Small as fuck. They did have some like small events, like
I guess
every
that's true.
every so often, like at their like store anniversary or whatever. The biggest event that they always had was called like the something like the blind demon painting competition, and what you did in it is you purchased a model. I think you I don't remember if you could bring the model or if you had to purchase the model at the store there. I think you had to purchase it at the store there. You purchased a model there, and then you had to paint it there in the store, and you could only paint it with like maybe 3 or 4 paints that you randomly selected from a box of paints.
Damn.
So like
So that means you had to assemble it then too in the
I
store.
assume if I had talked to I bet I could have brought a model that I like actually bought from them
Yeah,
and like
okay.
assembled and painted it because I wouldn't want to do that. But like never
Yeah,
I never was in the position where I like actually had the time to do that, but like I think it actually could have been kind of fun. Really.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean, you could have gotten really screwed with the paints you were given.
Oh yeah, Eli, you mentioned the store events for the Codex Eye of Terror and stuff were great. Like, yeah, that was a long fucking time ago from the retconned Eye of Terror, but they did a lot of these like summer battle tours
Hunt
in
for
the
the
United
Fallen.
States. Yeah, the first one I really remember and loved was the Hunt for the Fallen Battle Tour, which was like in 98 or 99.
Yeah.
And they just, it was around the time when the Storm of Vengeance second edition stuff was released. When they first released Jess Goodwin's Metal Scout models, they were just released, and they released this campaign pack about, yeah, called Storm of Vengeance, which good memories. But it had this little cardboard um, power generator and stuff, and I think that's when they first introduced Sergeant Scout Sergeant Naaman and whatnot, and some of
Mm.
that stuff, and Belial's involvement and whatever. And they released a box of Raven Wing, so I think they made a metal upgrade thing to go with the Space Marine
Yeah.
bikers to make some Raven Wing and whatever. Um,
But those summer
but
battle
yeah, that
tours were
was
cool. They had one for one of the battles for Armageddon as well. They actually like went around to different stores and they brought like like a gaming table with their terrain and models and
Mhm.
stuff. It was cool.
Yeah, I still have the Hunt for the Fallen T-shirt we got from way back when.
The last one that I think they did was called like the Epitome of Evil or some shit for Warhammer. Or wait, maybe it
Hmm.
wasn't Warhammer.
They did
Whatever.
one for both
Oh, it
Warhammer.
was
They
for
did both
yeah, yeah.
Warhammer and 40K because of Saitan, the Deceiver was on it on the T-shirt or
Yeah, it
whatever.
was
I think.
white. Huh. Well, yeah, they should start trying to do more events. And I guess they now have the new store maybe in like Texas, the Warhammer Cafe, right? That's open
Yeah,
now probably. Maybe they have events there. Do they have a website for that? Warhammer. It is called I think the Warhammer Cafe, right? Let's see if we can find it.
yeah. Meandering Shade. It will be interesting. Like, I don't know if they will have some like an automated thing to look through the questions, or if people actually read it. I I kind of feel it'll be partially automated in that they will like correlate like all the kind of multiple choice stuff that, like, I see no reason why they wouldn't just sort of aggregate that and um sort of get the statistics on it. But I could see maybe a person going through the written portions, because I feel it would be hard to use like algorithms and stuff to really sort through that depending on
God,
the length of responses and whatnot.
I fucking hate Facebook. If you don't have a Facebook account, like you can't view anything without them like me. So it looks like the Warhammer Cafe, they might have a Facebook page. That's it. And it look at these cool trophies. So I bet they have events here, Eric.
They probably
It
do.
looks like they do.
But I mean, it's certainly not stuff like how Warhammer World and such they announce like their open days and sell tickets and such. I mean, it's not anything to the league of what's happening in the UK. But yeah, I guess if it does, yeah, like what they had and I saw something mentioned on someone's Instagram account mentioning that like, oh, Blanche Situ was mentioned and like make sure you talk about it or whatever. And I guess that is true, but it still wasn't a whole lot. That in the section about White Dwarf, they could kind of let you rank like, of these types of articles, which do you like best? And one of them kind of mentioned Blanche Situ in along with some other types of articles. And I feel when I ranked it, I said that was my favorite because it was the only reason I got White Dwarf.
Yeah.
And then when they stopped releasing a digital version, I stopped buying it.
Yeah, makes sense. Oh yes.
Well, I mean, I have a physical copy of the first year's, like the first year of the sort of this newer version, but then like I have enough stuff. I don't need physical versions of them.
Yeah, so I had the physical versions of the first year as well, and then I decided, you know what, maybe for the second year I'm gonna just get the digital version, and then they just stopped it. So it's like, okay, don't need to do that anymore.
Yeah, it's over. Done. Never again.
Yeah.
But I guess.
So I guess for things that I should talk about Blanche Shitsu needs to come back because it's the best part about the magazine. They need to do a better job with the anatomy and proportions of their models. They need to. Their weapons are way too big.
Yeah, the main stuff I mentioned was that like they should be more consistent with the scale of their models.
They really need to be more consistent with that.
Do that. Maybe make weapons smaller. They should and continue with adding more female models and such, and with the general representation of different cultures and sort of stuff like that.
Yeah, they need more representation, and they're doing a much better job now than they had in the past, but the more of that they can do, the better. Yeah, the Blanchitsu mention, I haven't seen it yet, but from what it sounds like, I guess at least they mentioned something, because I feel for like at least the standard like GW fanboy or layman or whatever, if they're not super invested in stuff like that, at least they'll recognize the name and realize like, oh, that was something, and maybe they liked it, maybe they didn't. So
yeah, I can't imagine too many people like actively disliking the Bland Situ section. Maybe it wasn't something like their favorite aspects or whatever, but like it certainly wasn't worse than most of the other articles. I don't even remember what the 40K questions were like, to be honest, Meandering Shade. I guess because I hardly play, so.
Oh, can we just start taking it and start shifting through it? Can I go to next even without... Oh, shit. This question required... God damn it. So I have to... Let's just start. Oh, God, I fucking hate how they designed this, too. It's like, depending on what fucking browser you're using, it's like, it's really bad. Because they have, like, stuff grayed out until you've scrolled to it. But depending on, like, the device you're doing it on, like, you can't access it. I don't know why did they do that.
pretty cool. Oh, I guess they had something about the like the community site, and if you like the community site and stuff, you'd like more of and whatnot. Which, um,
How long have we been fans, Eric?
I mean, over 20
Yeah, it's
years.
over 20, right? Yeah, we started when we were in like elementary school, I
I mean, we
guess.
were playing Storm. We were playing. Um, I mean, I say playing in loose terms, but the Hunt for the Fallen thing, like you said, that was like 98. Maybe it was even 97. I don't remember.
That's true.
Well, my remembering that the Hunt for the Fallen thing, I was playing into the event, and there was a tactical squad, Dark Angels tactical squad that was in close combat with a Chaos Dreadnought, and normally in, I guess, hell, it was probably second edition.
Yeah,
You couldn't really you couldn't actually destroy a dreadnought in close combat unless you were attacking the back of it. And I had a rocket launcher guy that like rolled like just a string of sixes to hit, to win or not win, and fucking destroyed it. It was great.
I
It was
think you
great.
got a little pin for that too.
Oh yeah, I did a little purity seal pin or something. It was great.
How easy or difficult were the following? Learning like what the I don't. We'll just put okay. Okay.
How? So what's it? Oh yeah, I think for that sort of stuff, I did just write okay for basically everything. Because like on general, like learning how to build the models, like
I don't know.
yeah, I would
I
just say
figured it out by myself. So in that sense, it wasn't easy because like I just did it all myself.
but
But
it's
it's
easier than
easy
it was.
now, or easier now,
Learning
I
to
guess.
paint is easier,
Learning
but I
the
mean,
rules there. Okay, finding an opponent. But that's all on me. That's all on me.
yeah,
So I'll just put okay.
yeah,
Choosing an army. What? Oh, let's just put okay. Whatever.
I'd put like okay for most of that stuff. Like,
God, I hate how this was done. Like overall, how easy it is. I guess. Okay, let's put okay as well. Give a reason for this choice. Like what the?
for which choice?
For why? How easy it was to get started. Or let's put it. It's easy, and we can.
Oh, I think maybe for one of these questions, I mentioned that like the reason for the choice that it wasn't like I said, I don't remember what I said, but I think the reason for the choice was like I feel honestly like a difficulty for getting started in the hobby. Like you have to invest so much.
That's
It's a lot
true.
of time. You need to invest a lot of
That's
time.
true.
You need to invest a lot of money. You need to invest a lot of kind of like personal energy and stuff to find people. And like even if each none of the steps is wildly difficult, like you still need to really
Okay, so
invest
yeah,
a lot.
overall, how easy was it to get, or I guess to get started in the Warhammer?
So to really get started, like sure, it's easier now because you can buy the like $30 first strike box or whatever and get like a couple little models and do stuff. But most of it, if you really want to start and like kind of play a little army, like to get 1,000 points or whatever, I mean, I guess you could buy a start collecting box, which is now gone up in price, but it's still not really much of an army or anything. So that's like over $100. But then you still have to get all the tools,
So let's put it at
and
very hard.
so like it's not. I feel it's not a trivial thing. And then in general, with I mean, I don't really like to complain about GW's costs because it's kind of a constant thing people harp about. But it's true though. Like everything about it, it's expensive. Then if you want to paint the stuff too, like it's a lot. So in that sense, I don't think it's ever going to be particularly easy to get into. Although, actually, with that said, with the advent of like Kill Team and some of those things, it's I guess a little bit easier, or like Shadespire or something, in that you could get like a small war band. Most of them are can be kind of push fit stuff. So like that's certainly easier. So I feel if you're trying to play one of those more skirmish games or whatever, it's not nearly as bad. But
Wow, I really hate how they set this survey up. Like, it's just not easy to take. Does anybody remember what the last big survey was like? Was it like this too? I don't remember it.
I don't really remember either, to be honest.
The snap fit models are pretty nice. Like, I think many people complain about them because they're not multi-part anymore, but for the most part, for like the standard player, like I think in the end they're just better because they're posed better than what like a beginner could really hope to achieve by themselves anyway. So I think they
Adam,
just
which
end up
games do
looking
you have
better.
miniatures for? Which games?
Oh, what now? It went back. We that. Yeah, we do. Yeah, yeah. Yes, 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 yes. Everything.
But others, you have Mordheim models,
Warheim,
Gorka Morka,
Gorka Morka,
Necromunda.
Inquisitor. Necromunda
Mm-hmm.
had to be. Wait, it wasn't. Why? Why isn't
No,
Necromunda
it's
on
not.
that list?
Yeah, it's kind of curious. It's a
What?
curious lack. Yeah, it's odd. Do we have any? Oh, Battlefield Gothic. We have some Battlefield Gothic
Mm.
models. Put it on. And we don't
um,
have any
we don't have
Manowar
Manowar
models, do we?
models now.
Oh, why don't you have to? What's their when the Space Hawk was so successful, they released Dreadfleet, right? Dreadfleet,
Oh shit! Yeah, we have it.
right? Dreadfleet. That was a fucking failure, as far as I know.
The ships were. It was a neat game. The ships were cool. I liked it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Dreadfleet, is that it? What was the name of? I don't think we have any of the miniatures anymore. But they made the
War
Warhammer
Master,
Epic
War
game.
Master,
War Master.
War
Yeah,
Master,
I don't think we have
and
it.
Epic, and whatever. That's fine.
I think that's most of them. Whew, boy.
God, we have too many miniatures.
Think of the
We have
last
miniatures
miniature
for all that. We
unit
don't play any of them.
or box set you bought. Why did you choose it? I probably wanted to use the elements in a conversion.
That's what I said.
What age or when you bought? How old were we, Eric? Maybe
I don't
11 to
remember.
15 or something?
Yeah, it sounds about right.
What aspect? Wait, which? I guess. No, I guess.
Yeah, Meandering shit. It's true that because the survey was long and it like sectioned off like that, like
You stop
you
caring.
kind of didn't. You didn't. Well, there's that too as well. But like you never really knew how much longer it would actually be, or got a sense of what was coming or not, which made it harder to like maybe be as comprehensive as you could
Yeah.
be. Favorite act My favorite aspect is collecting models that I keep in the box and put on a shelf and feel bad about later.
I guess building and painting. Oh, here it is. So here's where for use. Oh God.
Isn't your favorite part of the games the hobby playing, and I'm playing the game?
Yeah. No.
Obviously
So
not.
these are the questions. I guess. So these must be the questions where if you want to say something, you have to maybe you have to say it here. Which
What are they?
what what is for you the most important thing that you get out of the Warhammer hobby? God, what a question. Like, I don't want to write that. What do you like
I
most
just
about our products? What do you like least about our products? Like, Jesus.
Those are some heavy questions.
Yeah, they're
What do
pretty
people
heavy.
say what they like most about,
Yeah, well,
um, or the most important element? I think what I wrote something to the effect that the most important, or what I got the most out of it, was kind of the community building aspect of it.
mm,
What I like most about the products, I might have even said something about the lore, honestly, in the universe that was created. Then what I like least about the products was their complete or general lack of understanding of anatomy and scale.
yeah, it's pretty
I think
bad.
that's what I said.
It's pretty bad. Also, I wonder if can like let's just skip that for now. How far
I
are you
don't.
from the nearest
I
Games
feel
Workshop?
if you skip it, maybe it won't actually put anything in there. Because what Meandering Shade was saying that he would have liked if he could go back at certain points in the
Oh, so
survey.
here is an excellent so hmm,
Maybe you can. I don't know.
let's just see. So those are hard to answer. I don't even know where games or independent stock. So less than 30 minutes, I guess. What best?
Do you
Okay.
have a room of Shame Meandering Shade of models?
How old are you? Oh, you are in full-time employment. Thank goodness. What gaming systems have you played in the last 6 months? Oh boy. No, 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 no. Yes, no, 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 yes. Wait. Other. Fucking Mordheim. We played a game of Mordheim, Eric. Heck
Hell
yeah.
yeah.
Shit, we did a lot. Okay.
One thing about Meandering Shade about having a room of models and stuff, like I feel we had lots of models, and
Oh yeah, so there it is. I have to go
then we
back.
all went off to different areas in graduate school, and it was so much spread out. And now we still have, so like we have a lot of models, and almost none of it's assembled.
Almost none of it.
Almost none of it. Apartment of shame. Yeah, no. So that's true. Like I'm currently living in an apartment, and like it's
Yeah,
not.
Apartment of Shame's right.
Yeah, it's like not big enough. Like it's just like where's the closet space that I can cram in battle foam cases filled with half assembled models and such. And like sometimes it's like fuck, I have that partially made Necron army. Like
Can I
they
just
were
give it
nice enough, but
away?
like what? Can I just give it away? Because I don't want it to be in my life. I don't want it to be crammed under a bed or
Who wants a
whatever.
Necron army?
Yeah, so I
Shit.
yeah.
Um,
Like I feel I don't relish the prospect of having to move because we'll just like I didn't realize I put these models back in this corner or something. Uh,
I
like where
recently
did these
tried to
come from?
organize all my stuff and put them in like big Tupperware tubs of like Warhammer models, Warhammer 40,000 models, and it's a lot. I have a lot of shit. And I feel now literally the only when I buy models, it's I'm buying it for like a piece or two or with the notion of, you know what, these I might be able to do something with something from this sometime. So for instance, when all of the when all of the goblin stuff came out, Greg and I we probably bought like $250 worth of or it was probably even more than that of goblin models that we haven't done anything with, but we have them. We have them.
Yeah, we need to do
Um,
something with those gobos.
yeah, and I mean it's gonna one of the conversion corners sometime, hopefully pretty soon, is gonna have to deal with goblins. Um, Yeah, so I don't know. And like I feel for me, like it to me it seems like a big win if like, oh, I bought the new Necromunda like the Lock Gang. To me it seems like a big win if I convert a single model from the box. Like heck yeah, I really got the value. So
Yeah, getting that value. It's always about getting the value.
getting all that value.
Well, I guess actually, so we could probably from some of the goblins and stuff. There are also little interesting mushrooms and frogs and stuff. I feel some of that could probably be added to some of the Mordheim bases eventually.
Yeah, so that was actually something I was considering doing. Yeah, so I oh yeah, so we have a lot of stuff. And I feel like I have a lot more than you do, Eric.
Oh yeah, I don't. I honestly don't have that much stuff, but I still have more than I want.
Like, I mean, I just bought a box of the Sisters of Silence just to get one of the hands for like the Eldar Ranger conversion that I did. That was it. And now it's here with me. It's in my life, and it's not gonna go anywhere. It's here to stay. Like I
I almost
remember,
wonder, like,
probably like 5 years ago, we bought the Forge World um, Night Lord character, like Sevator or whatever, and we bought. Oh, it was when the first Iron Sleet Invitational happened, so that wasn't that long ago. Maybe like 3 or 4 years ago. We bought that novel, thinking like, oh, I might be able to use the head for that, and obviously we couldn't. And then now, finally,
the scale was wrong. Who knew?
yeah, now finally, I used the head of that model on that like Space Marine operative. It came full circle. It was worth it.
Well, I guess towards that end, all you people here listening, if you do need parts for stuff,
Hmm.
let us know. Either through this, through Instagram Messenger or something. Let us know because we might have stuff and
Yeah, we probably have
we'll
stuff, and we'd be
happily
more than
we'll
happy to
happily
send it to
send
you.
it. So just keep it in mind because I kind of feel like that would be a helpful thing, like to if there was some convenient way of having sort of like a discussion or like an open discourse of like what parts and things people have and would trade and whatever. But I guess a lot of times people are very concerned about like, oh, like what will you give me for this or whatever. And in most circumstances, I feel I would rather like if we have it and someone actually has a good idea to use something with, I would rather just send it off,
Yeah,
maybe
no,
pay for shipping or something, but like
I
we're
don't
not gonna
care.
use most of this shit.
And if I found out later that I needed something, I'd just buy it again. Like whatever. Yeah. So we have stuff if you need it. Meandering Shade, if you need some goblins.
Yeah, I do like I really do
Yeah,
like
the
the
new Goblin range is
goblins.
great. Nearly all of it's great. So I think that the surveys defeated me.
Can
Or
always
not
go
that
back.
it's defeated me, but so like I can't save this, right?
Probably not.
Like I
Gonna
feel
have
I
to.
actually I need to take some time to actually write something meaningful here.
Yeah, it's
What you
probably
like most
best.
about our products, they exist. Um,
They do exist. It's true.
oh shit, I have a walk-in cupboard in my hobby room that you can't walk in. It's just tubs full of unopened boxes. Yeah, shit. Yeah, shit. So this reminds. I think we related this once before, but years ago when we were in graduate school, that's when they were re-released the Dark Eldar range, and all the ones that were redesigned by Jess Goodwin, and they were really great. I remember that convincing, like, heck yeah, we're gonna start it. Adam, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna start a Dark Eldar army. It's gonna be great. And I remember we bought like 3 boxes of the Plastic Warriors, 3 boxes, or maybe even 4 boxes of the Plastic Witches, a whole bunch of other
Yeah, I think
stuff.
I sent you a few.
Yeah, I think you sent me like 2 of each or something. And to this day, I still have like 2 or 3 open up boxes of witches, like 2 open boxes of the Dark Eldar Warriors. Like, yeah, it's just all there. Like I remember, I was successful at building 1 squad of Dark Eldar Warriors, and I
Good
started
job, man.
assembling the
I have one of
witches.
your Dark Elder Raiders you gave me for some reason.
It was probably like, "Hey, Eric, you want to assemble this, right? Yeah,
I
yeah."
obviously didn't.
Um,
There's some Metal Incubi in there too, though.
I assembled a bunch of those. So,
Metal Mob.
needless to say, I don't know why I really related this, but the Dark Eldar army failed. It never really happened. And I feel now if I wanted a Dark Eldar army, I wouldn't even want to use what I've already assembled. I'd want to like remake all of it. So,
Well, so I feel that that kind of gets back to it, though. If you really did want to play 40K, you would still probably just use that stuff because otherwise you could
yeah, I
never
mean
have
it's
an
certainly
army.
usable.
But if we were really interested in like really playing stuff, I feel it'd be more like I want to make a kill team, a Dark Eldar kill team, and then you could kind of go in and convert stuff to fit that. So I
Descrewing parts, meandering shade. So yeah, I that's like could be a good idea, but it seems like a massive undertaking. I remember one time I just took a whole bunch of like the boxes filled with miniatures and I just threw out the boxes and put all the mountain of sprues in another bigger box. And it wasn't really a great idea because now it's hard to find anything in there. But lucky for me, they're just like the Space Marine, like Grey Knights and like the Sanguinary Guard and stuff. Like, I'll never want to use any of that stuff, right? Whatever. Who cares if I can't find it?
that Space Marine's not worth it.
Yeah. Eric, are you still here? I think
Yeah, maybe
is
maybe my computer locked.
your yeah, your image, your video stopped. Maybe you're gone. Maybe you're gone. I still hear you though. Yeah, now he's gone, I think. See you, Eric. Hopefully he'll be back soon. Yep, me and Eric Shade, that's where I am now. Literally everything I buy is just for to add to the collection of stuff, and then if like, oh, maybe I'll be able to use a thing or two from this or that. Um, because I guess oftentimes if you're trying to do a conversion, it really helps if you actually have the models there to actually look at and like piece together and compare scales and sizes, because as we talk about all the time, there's not very much consistency in terms of scale with a lot of Games Workshop miniatures. So unless you have the stuff there with you in hand, it can be really hard to tell if any of the stuff's gonna work right, and it can feel pretty bad if you plan out all this conversion and then like, oh, you order online like one of the heads or something you want, then when you finally get it you realize like, well, this isn't gonna work because the scale's way wrong. I remember that particularly happening with the new Escher models. Their heads are super tiny. Okay. I imagine Eric will be back. Hopefully. He might be back.
Yeah, I think I'm back. Yeah,
Hey,
my
Eric.
computer like locked.
It just froze. Cool.
Yep,
That's
pretty
what you
neat.
want to happen.
Always.
Well, you didn't miss a whole lot. Um, yeah, that's true, Johnny. It's interesting. Like, yeah, their faces, like they like slice off the faces, and then you can like put them on like different necks and stuff like that, which is kind of neat. And their faces in general are really nice. Like, I like them a lot. Um,
What models are we referring to here?
the Necromunda Escher gang, yeah, they're really good. And like the
Mm.
one has a cool eye patch and everything. It's just they're not at all consistent in scale with some of the other stuff. And I think like depending on how you convert your models and stuff, you can get it to work and look pretty good. Um, but it's just different.
Yeah, I feel that's one of the difficult things about GW stuff. Like in some sense, you almost always you just sort of have to get the models and have them in your hands to be able to compare. Like, are they scaled properly? You there's no way to really know without actually seeing a legitimate direct comparison picture. Or
Yeah,
um, yeah. So
it can be rough. I don't know. I feel most of the Games Workshop kits, like there's always, even if I don't necessarily love them, there's always something like you could potentially do with them. The one that I think I question in recent years, the set or kit that they've released that I think I maybe that I've questioned the most, or the new Necromunda Orlok Gangers. I like. Let's see. Let's find them. Um, and I know we talked at length in one of the episodes of the podcast, I think, about the Orlok gang. And I remember this was one of my favorite Necromunda gangs. Like, I always really liked them, thought they were cool. And then they did.
admittedly, the new Chaos Terminators are probably worse than these Orlocks, but
Well, I don't even know, Eric. I don't think I can
you're
even
right.
say that.
Maybe you're
The
right.
new
You're
Warlock
right.
models are so rough. I can't like them. I like nothing about them. Like, holy shit. Like, look at how stocky and massive these legs and boots are. So you know what the only thing, you know what you could use these for? The new collaborative event on the ice planet, Gilda, or I don't even remember what it's called. What's it called? You know what I'm talking.
Yeah,
Um,
Galita,
Galita or
right?
whatever. These models, you might be able to use them for this because, like, oh, they're in really thick, bulky, like, snow clothing and stuff. Like, that might actually work for that. But, like, anything else, it's like, holy shit. Like, compare the leg with the arm. Like, it just looks
It's like they
so
don't have
wrong.
knees. Like everything about them looks odd and bad.
Yeah,
Whereas
like, they
like the
don't have
Goliaths are
knees.
huge and bulky and whatnot, but I feel their
Like,
overall
holy
proportions
shit, look
fit
look at
with.
that head. Like, it's like so small compared to the rest. Like, they're I
Yeah,
I despise them. I despise
all
them.
their weapons are dumb looking, gigantic. Yeah, they're
And
not
this one looks a little better, sort of. But then like they
sausage
have
fingers.
yeah, they have like these big terrible looking sausage fingers. Like, holy shit, look at this hand, like activating the harpoon gun. Like what? Like what? It looks so bad. And then they didn't even cut off the mold lines.
No time.
It didn't matter. And then the profile and silhouette of the model is also like sort of ruined because he has this coat that just makes him look even like fatter and stockier. Like
You meandering shades, you like the Orlocks? Oof.
I hate them. I hate them. And like I wanted to like them.
I think they're just so overly stocky and awkward
like look at the
looking
legs. Like holy shit.
that it to me it goes beyond just baggy, and it just they look really awkward. I feel if they were done with a little bit more finesse, they could be cool. But because of how fat and thick everything is, like they just look so stocky, almost as though they're dwarves.
Yeah, so I mean,
And it doesn't really look baggy either. It just looks like
so
they're
your
huge.
description there, like I like that whole notion. I think that is cool. That could be cool. But like I just it doesn't they don't I guess they just don't at all capture what I always thought about with the Orlocks. And you know what, in some regards, like I think if you took these models and like sort of like Meandering Shade often does, he like takes a bunch of models, like cuts them apart and like makes them
Weirding Way
larger.
does that too, right?
Yeah, Weirding Way does a lot of that too. Yeah. Like just like cut it all apart and like lengthen the legs, give them a longer torso, replace the head, and they'd start to look a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, I feel parts are usable, but like it as they are, I feel to me they look like maybe the worst of the
I
Necromunda
mean, yeah, like
gangs.
compare that head to the rest of the body. Like I, I can't like it. And look, they didn't drill the barrels well on the gun. Like they're
They
too
rarely do.
big. Like if you look at the wheel and the pistol, like that will give you a good sense of how big each cartridge is. Like it doesn't at all compare to the bore size of the barrel. I mean, oh man.
All the rock and metal clubs you used to frequent. That sounds like a story. There's a story there.
This one, the leader dude, I think he looks probably the best. But even his pose is so weird. Like he should have looked like a cool like Mad Max type thing, but like
I feel maybe that's a little bit too. Like I felt there was so much potential with these, and I feel they fell a lot shorter than I was hoping for. So that also kind of makes it tough.
I would sort of be interested in actually seeing the models in person. Like I know a lot of times the stuff looks a little better in person and things are like more usable than like what like I initially gave stuff credit for.
I mean, honestly, I feel almost like all the Necromunda warbands aren't perfect, but like there are aspects of it that are usable, and I feel the same would likely be the case for these. With that said, I don't want to spend $40 to get them.
Yeah, no, I hear that.
Don't want to spend $40 for that.
Yeah, I'd go. So yeah, I hate them. Hate them. Yeah, I mean the heavy metal paint jobs often do kind of They could do some weird things to models. Like, I mean, they're always painted well, but
Technically, they're always good, but I feel a lot of them. Feel we talk about it now and again on here, but I feel they tend to like really over exaggerate and pronounce all the details and such. And I mean, it makes sense to do it. Like, they want people to
mhm.
obviously see how detailed and like the quality of the miniatures and how much technology has improved over time and such. So they want you to see that they look good. And so I feel because of it, they don't. Um,
You know what? That's interesting. So this, like, the leader dude here, like, they drilled the bores of the barrels and stuff of these weapons, and they made them a lot more reasonably sized. Yeah, I
what
actually
do you
sort
think
of
that
like
even
his
is?
pistol. I don't know. A, like,
It's probably their example of a snub nosed concealment pistol.
it's a
It's just as
contender.
long as his femur, but it's fine. It's small.
It's pretty small for a 40K weapon.
It is
It's really small, actually.
probably the smallest in there.
It probably is, actually. So, actually, can we... It's interesting how they're set up. Huh. Yeah, I am almost tempted to try. I'd like to like have some of these and compare the size of their feet to like the feet of like the Elysian drop troops and stuff like that. Because I feel if
It
you
would be
compare
interesting to
those, you'd like
compare the
laugh out
feet
loud.
between. It would be interesting to do a comparison, a feet comparison between multiple models throughout all the different ranges.
Like, guess whose feet these are? It's actually it might be. I think this is the only the new Necromunda model is the only gang that we didn't buy. I think we bought all the rest.
Are there any more Necromunda gangs coming out?
They got all the
Right.
main ones, but they're
All
like
the
the
main
other like
ones.
bounty hunters and like redemptionists and stuff like that that they could like do something with.
The scabies or
Oh,
whatever
that's
they were
true.
called. Yeah, yeah.
Like
But
mutants and
most of
stuff
those
like
were
that.
from the expansion stuff.
Yeah. Ooh. Ooh. Necromunda, like, yeah, oh
Their
god,
hands are gigantic.
their hands are gigantic, but they don't compare at all to the feet. I have to stop looking at them, and we've talked enough about them.
Yeah, it's best if we did stop looking at them. I don't know. Maybe we should call it a night here soon, Adam.
Yeah, no, I have to get up pretty early for work tomorrow and like drive an hour or something, so that's gonna suck.
Yeah, it's no
Um,
fun.
well, I
I don't have to
guess
do anything like
thanks
that, but
everyone for joining us, and we had some pretty good conversations. I don't didn't
talking
quite
about
get to
stuff,
finish the survey, but
it's always
I'll
good.
I'll make sure I finish it. Yeah, I understand that meandering shade. We were only able we only bought like one of most things, and I feel from each kit well, no, that's not even true. From some of them, we've used stuff from a lot of them. A lot of them. We've not Yeah, most of them we've used pieces here and there for. I think in general, there are some of the if you just wanted to buy a few kits to do like conversions for like Ink 28 or something like that, the Necromunda kits are pretty good for all of that stuff because they have a
Hmm.
wide assortment of weird, interesting things. And if you're interested in like converting weapons and stuff, like they're great for that. Yeah, well, thanks
Yeah,
everyone for joining us. Um,
yeah. Yeah, nice that you were able to catch us meandering shade, but it's like probably like 5:30 in the morning over there for you there. It's pretty early indoor. Well, I guess early.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so we'll
Well,
certainly be back again around this time next week, and we'll see if I have time. We have time for like some other hobby streams. Like I need to rework the camera and stuff to record like me working on hobby stuff. So
we need
before I
to,
do that, like I have to. We'll see. What were you saying, Eric?
yeah, we
Five
need to get a
thirty-eight
capture
here.
card.
Jesus, that's bad.
Yeah, we need to get a capture card. That's what we need
Yeah. Well,
to
thanks
make
for
it better.
everyone again for joining us. It's been fun. Keep on enjoying the hobby, whatever it is you like and like getting out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. Also, thanks for joining us, Nathan. All right.
Yeah.
Until next time. Over and out.
Yeah.